because we can only horse so much.
You're the voice trying to understand it.
Hi everyone, this is Matt. Welcome to the Real Gamerscore podcast. This week I'm joined by Cameron.
Hey!
And Keo.
Hello.
Here at Real Gamerscore, we like to discuss all things Xbox, achievements, and how our podcast is not an indication of our value creation dynamics. This week, we say Halo to Crunch again, be an armchair achievement system fixer, and suddenly I'm a trophy hunter? But first, here's the song of the week. I'm in my house, achievement hunting. They call it lots of fun. And it's been the ruin of many a gamer on the 360, the series, and the One. My score, it grows daily, playing each new release. And my backlog just keeps on going up. Completions are all just ceased.
And that should be the end of the song?
Well, I mean, I kept it short this week. I was going to do the whole song, because I'm a big fan of that one. But do you guys have any idea what it is? Anyone? I'm sure people in the chat know, because they seem to be already jumping all over it.
I'm just going to let the chat guess this one, because I'm having technical issues already.
Yeah,
Good stuff.
I know who it is.
Okay, well that's good, Kia. All right, so Kia, what is it?
It's the House of the Rising Sun by the Animals.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Fantastic.
I
Got it
wouldn't
in
have got
one.
that.
No, God, it's so easy. Anyway, you know what? I say that every week. I'm going to try and be nice to Cameron, make a change. Just, be the change you want to see in the world. And don't be a huge fucking asshole. Discord, discord.io/realgamerscore is the best place to get in contact with us and our community. If you don't know what Discord is, it's basically a big chat room where we talk about the podcast, we talk about video games, talk about competitions, talk about our Patreon stuff. And chances are, if you complain about it for long enough, we'll make you a channel for it. We've also
I have
got
that power now.
Yes, yeah, now we have the power. Cameron has also been doing some work on the Discord recently. If you've been on there, I noticed a couple of changes. Cameron, you want to talk about those?
Yep, so just some quick changes with that is I added emojis to all the channels just to make it a little bit cuter. Just because, a little bit of fun. Made a friend time bot. Got the friend time bot in here. So what that does is allows us to pretty much set up boosting sessions across time zones a lot easier. As soon as you set your time up, you can pretty much hit the emoji clock below. Friend time will then send you your corresponding time zone, and then it'll tell you it's 4 o'clock in the morning, and you'll realize that that's just a horrible time to run a boosting session. But you need to get Far Cry 2 done, so you may as well do it.
Exactly, right. We suffer for our art form, right?
Exactly. And then saying that, we also have GroovyBot, so there is a music channel as well now. The boys were testing that out for Black Ops 3 the other day, having a bit of fun with that, and I've already want to get rid of it because Coverage Hut is putting the Crazy Frog song and all the old, have this as your ringtone in mid-2000s.
Yeah, see, that's the problem with giving the community the power to choose music, is that most of them have shit taste.
Yeah.
Or they're massive trolls, or both. So it's a bit of a mixed bag. But I've been meaning to jump in there and throw down some proper music like I use for Song of the Week. So you won't know any of it, Cameron, but it'll be a good discovery for you.
Absolutely not. But if you guys know of any other good bots that you want to see put in, I can mess around with trivia, that kind of stuff. But let me know. We can work it in.
Yeah, we always want to make as many improvements as we can and serve the community where possible.
Yep.
So feedback always appreciated. We've also got our Patreon, patreon.com/realgamerscore, which is basically a place where you can give us some money. Helps pay for competitions, server costs, equipment, things like that. Helps us run the show. We really, really appreciate it. Got a couple of things here. We've got a new Patreon, formerly mentioned Cobra Todd, has signed up this week. Thank you very much, buddy. We really appreciate it. Sorry about your music taste, but you're all right otherwise. And we've also got our Patreon draw this month, which is the for those who don't know, if you're a patron, you go into the draw to win an ID of Xbox game of your choice. And considering we don't have a huge amount of patrons, chances are pretty good you're going to win at some stage. So the winner of this month is Peter. Now, I don't want to dox you and say your full name, but I don't have your Discord. So, Peter, if you want to get in contact with me somehow, you'll get my details at the end of the show. Otherwise, if you're on the Discord, give me a wave down. We'll make sure we get you that game that you want. But congratulations, mate. And then we can move on to our favorite challenge, the Real Gamerscore Word Challenge. So, Keo.
Yeah.
You happened to win last week.
Yeah, it was nice. It was real nice. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, if you'd waited maybe like an hour or two, we would have given you an extra $10, but that's fine. Don't worry about it.
Well, the funny thing about that is that I didn't even know the second, the second clue. Yeah. So I'm behind by about a week or so on your podcast. So I caught last week because that was an interesting one, but
Sure.
and winning, catching myself on
yeah,
there.
it's
But
always good. Yep.
Yeah, but yeah. So that was lucky dig. So
That's very lucky.
So essentially,
And,
the advice I'm getting from that is type in random games into the chat. I mean, we have
and
slow
eventually you'll get it.
we have slow mode enabled for a reason, but sometimes you're just going to luck out.
Just start spamming games.
I did think about that one before I typed it in. I'm like, will they put that there? But they did. Yep.
I mean, Kirby will
Kirby.
put anything
Yeah.
there. Let's be honest.
As Alex has pointed out in the chat, well done, Keo. You've caught up on this podcast immediately, so that's
Yeah,
great.
I know. Yeah.
That's the only way to get in early and catch up on the podcast is to actually be on the podcast itself.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you don't even have the 40-second delay that our chat has.
I think that's why me and Matt just basically host the podcast now. So we don't have to catch up waiting for it for a week.
Yeah, exactly.
We
I'm
just get
tired of
early.
waiting for it to be put together and you edit it and the music and stuff. And, Kirby puts out an episode with all the swearing still in it.
Yeah.
I see
Good times.
One ZZ Urban Spaceman in chat is complaining that he never wins the Patreon and that it's rigged. Don't worry, buddy. You slip me a 10 and I'll make sure you never win. Buddy, I'll take the 10 anyway. Because I've got integrity. But also, I'm broke.
We'll basically, rig the bot that draws the Patreon to work, and then it just won't. So it'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly. That's really the key thing. I mean, as long as as long as it's relatively random, I'm sure it's fine.
Yeah.
So Keo, welcome to the show.
Yep.
You give us a little bit of an introduction about yourself. You want to talk about who you are, what you do, what's your gamer score, what do you play, in any order?
Yeah. So I started gaming when I was a child, but my foray into Xbox was mostly when I started working in retail, and it got recommended to me just to start as the Xbox as my main console to start off with, and I really took off from there. So
Right.
pretty much since then, though, I've moved state, started studying, getting really, really deep into the study. So I'm a good 5 years into that now. So,
What do you study?
law and sociology, actually. So, yeah.
Wow, so you're very busy then.
Very, very deep. So going from a small country town with no education, well, not no education, but doing really badly, in 2003 to 10 or so years later, actually going to university. So, yeah.
Oh
A
wow,
little different.
that's fantastic. So where do you find the time for video games?
Every second I can. So, so it's
Good
good that the streaming stuff is happening now. So I can set little phone clamps up around the house and in my bed and stuff, and just work on it a little bit at a time. But
Of course, yeah. Every waking moment. I mean, any moment not spent video gaming is wasted, right? That's the thing.
Yeah.
You gotta cram it as much as you can. I
It's
totally
funny.
understand that.
Like, I've gotten to the point, staying at home now, that the friends I have favorited, I can see when they come online on their lunch breaks during the day. Not gonna say any names in particular. Stephen, who's watching Netflix every single lunch break at school.
Look, those
just,
kids, just
those like little interesting tidbits that you see.
Well, I mean, hey, people got to have their own. Guys, he's fucking spying on you. Appear offline if you know what's good for you. He's a fucking rat. He's gonna knock. Don't let him tell. Unbelievable, yeah. And so obviously you play quite a bit where you can. What kind of games are you into?
So at the moment, it does change from time to time, but mostly racing games. I've completed most of the Forza except for a couple of the later ones, except Forza Horizon 4, that's done now as well. But I've been delving into a lot of the multiplayer online games. So been really digging into Destiny 2. Actually, the funny thing about that is that that kind of started when I did move state. So I was a few months alone by myself, and the end date for Final Fantasy 11, so this will be good for this week, actually was coming to a close on the 360. And it was right in that few week period that it started to come up. And I really decided to get into that. And then after learning system after system, and then getting so far in the game, and then learning that there were more systems that I didn't know about, every single time I played for the few months that I was on it, it was just more and more and more. And then I've since moved on from there. I've actually found that I've got a lot more focus now because I'm actually concentrating on what's happening in the games. And I think the universities kind of help for that as well. So focusing on one game instead of jumping around a lot. But yeah, so racing games, shooters, I play everything, and all platforms too. So Xbox, PlayStation, it comes from having the retail background. I was working in like a games department specifically, so I was getting a hold of everything I could. So PSP, Vita, PS3, PS4, everything. So I jump around from every couple of months to something different.
Great, gaming agnostic. That's good. That's good. Get nice and well rounded, unlike us, Xbots.
Our brand loyalist.
Well, yeah. Spaceman in chat has mentioned that chasing multiplayer servers shutdowns is a bit of a slippery slope, and I 100% agree with him, considering what I've been up to recently. But are you like that as well? Is that something you do? Are you a completionist? Are you desperate to try and get those games finished before they disappear, or are you kind of a bit more relaxed about it, or somewhere in the middle?
Well, I've definitely got a lot less time for it. I can't focus on the Tom Clancy stuff that's happening at the moment. In the past, I did chase a lot of them. I would say that I chased most of them back in the day, so I really just got on board with the TA guys at True Achievements and stuff like that. Did sessions, ran a lot of that, and yeah, so it took up a lot of time. But yeah, these days, not so much. I've kind of tapered off, basically doing that kind of stuff and just kind of enjoying my time with it a little bit more. So,
right. That's probably the healthy attitude to have. So in terms of Gamerscore, whereabouts are you sitting at the moment?
Just over 400,000 now. So,
not bad at all.
That just ticked over. So,
oh, congratulations.
Yeah, I made it. I had to tidy up my score because I had like a one gamer score I needed to sort out to even out, and then I hit Juice 2 Hot Import Nights and did the big old grind drift achievement that I had to do in a sitting. So I spent a few hours on that, and that 150 just set me up for 400,000, and now.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
All right. So in terms of, you have any favorite genres or favorite games, or like ones that like what Xbox or otherwise, like old or new? Any ones that spring to mind? I know it's this typical gamer question. It's like, hey, what's your favorite game? And you're like, well, what the fuck? I don't know.
Favorite boosting buddies that might also be in this call.
Yeah, well, I guess my roots kind of come from the old classics. So Tomb Raider, definitely really big on that one.
Yep.
Looking at your Resident Evil, and so a lot of the real staple ones from back in the day. So Final Fantasy was always something that I ended up picking up on in PlayStation 1, and then went back and played all the other games as the old PS1 Origin discs and stuff like that came out. And so I'd be looking forward to see if anything came up for Xbox in the future for classic collections or whatever they decide to work on, if at all anything. But it'd be good to revisit some of them again. Yeah, mostly just from those. And yeah, I try to keep up with the series, but I'm behind on a lot of stuff now, just because of time. So
Sure. Yeah. All right. Cameron, you have any other questions or anything?
I guess with that, just because you're studying law and that, does this give you more of an inside perspective to stuff like, I guess, Apple versus Epic? Like, do you have more of an insider brain now about that particular side of gaming?
I can definitely see a lot more. Like, I'm no expert yet. Like, I'm nowhere near done with that stuff. But yeah, I can see little tropes and things that come up with that kind of stuff. It's interesting more with the where I started with the sociology stuff. I kind of started there and then kind of transferred into the sociology law side of things. So because I started there with the roots of the sociology stuff, I'm more geared in that direction. So I see more the people side of stuff, which is really good quality to have, because going the other way and doing business and law together, you end up going down a certain path. But it's good to humanize a few things, so which has made it a little bit easier to do. So
yeah,
great,
interesting.
All right. So anything else, Cameron, or do we want to move on to some?
I was going to say, do you want to move into your story?
Yeah, sure. So there was a bit of I think it was an earnings call. But basically Ubisoft has come out and said that they're going to make some changes based on some of their financial results. The quote is, Ubisoft is going to focus on more high-end free-to-play games in the future, which fucking sounds like all the worst buzzwords I've ever heard, to be honest. AAA releases will continue, but Ubisoft sees a great opportunity to expand its audience through free-to-play. This kind of comes off the back of the fact that Ubisoft announced that they're going to have their next Division game is coming out called Heartland, is going to be completely free-to-play. And so it seems like they're kind of trying to push in that direction, that the free-to-play stuff with Battle Royale, Activision's had with like Call of Duty Warzone, and then of course Fortnite and things like that. But apparently, like, this isn't just going to be a Tom Clancy shooter thing; it's going to be like everything. So Ubisoft's kind of, for those who don't know, Ubisoft's sort of strategy in the past has been to release 3 to 4 like AAA level, what they consider AAA at least in terms of budget level games each year. But they've basically said that it's no longer a proper indication of Ubisoft's value creation dynamics. Jeez, they're just throwing out all the fucking shitty buzzwords, aren't they? And will continue to maintain a high cadence of content delivery, including powerful premium and free-to-play new releases. Jesus Christ. Do I sound like this when I'm doing my marketing bullshit? This is unbelievable. I've got to make sure I don't get printed anywhere. So basically, they want to widen our brand at the top of the funnel. So they're trying to get in more people with the lower barrier to entry with free-to-play for all of their stuff going forward. And unsurprisingly, this isn't just like some big creative vision. It's all to do with the finances.
I feel like this is the case with everybody, though. Like, most are going to free to play in some aspect to try and increase their customer base, and hopefully increase sales.
Yeah, of course, right? And like, it's hard to argue with that, in terms of when you have big successes like Fortnite, and I mean even things like Hyperscape, which didn't do super well, but like Warzone especially is doing really, really well for Call of Duty. So much so that they're not really doing a lot of DLC outside of it. I don't know.
Cold War got the one DLC for free, but I think it's pretty much just a case of they are adding that content into COD now, but like no achievements, so we don't really focus on it as much as achievement hunters. Content's still there.
Yeah. I guess so.
The funny thing is, though, I think Ubisoft's games are probably the best thing to be able to do this. Like, free-to-play Division, I could easily see that. Like a free-to-play Assassin's Creed game, like with a kind of open worlds multiplayer kind of thing, could easily see that as well. Like they have the properties to, and I imagine would have the assets, the open worlds to be able to make something like this relatively easy compared to other studios. But
well, I mean,
I guess it
It's-
depends on what extent they take it.
Sure. I think part of it is that some of the analysts that come out said, there's one guy I follow, Daniel Ahmad. He's a guy I follow for a lot of analyst stuff. Really interesting. He was talking about how essentially this is going to be, it's not that they're going to deliver less AAA games, it's that they're going to be doing more non-AAA premium games, basically. So, like, they're going to do other games that are free to play. Which is like, I kind of get that, but like if the next Division is going to be free to play, like that's supposed to, like Division 2 was supposed to be a big hitter for them. It didn't do amazing. I mean, it did well enough, but like, I don't know. It just seems like I kind of get that they kind of want to have it both ways, but
I think the smart choice for them is build a platform like, let's just say Division Heartland, have the base there, constantly work on new content for it, like bring the money in then, rather than working on one title and doing the DLC pack route.
Sure. Which I guess makes sense. I mean, I don't know, Keo, do you play a lot of free-to-play stuff?
Well, actually, I have been getting into all of the battle royales and stuff like that, and I've been playing. I've been doing Cold War and Warzone now. So, like, because of Cold War, I've gone back to Warzone. So, in saying that, like, there are links between the platforms where you have to. Where they need to try to tie everything together. So there's a lot of Tom Clancy franchises that are out there, but they're all standalone. They haven't done anything where they've really tied them together since I think Ghost Recon Wildlands had a Splinter Cell crossover that doesn't even have a game yet, if at all. But I think before that, Ghost Recon, the last one I'd know is Hawks. The original Hawks had a crossover level where the Ghost Recon guys...
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Were on the ground, and, you know, the Hawks guys fly
It's
over,
funny with
yeah.
It's funny with the COD stuff, too, because they do everything to try and keep you in the ecosystem. Like, the fact that you can boot Warzone off of Cold War or vice versa, like, they want to keep you in there, like... And that's the exact same with free-to-play. I've been listening to a podcast called GCM lately, which is Gaming Community Managers, and they discuss having forums and all that embedded in their games just to try and keep people in as part of the experience as well.
Yeah, I could say the Division has definitely lost a lot of its audience, and that's mostly because they have not been able to consistently have a single kind of product. They've changed it, and they've done... They've always spent a lot of time on the back end working on apparel events and clothing events and all that kind of stuff. That's what that is, and adjusting loadouts and the meta and having that all kind of constantly changing just kind of ruins it a little bit. One of the things that they did with the raids, and they use it as a hype basically. So, with each of the raids that came out, there's only been 2. They raised hype and raised the levels of expectations, and then made it a buzz on release, and then didn't do anything after that with it. So there's no consistently in going forward with just this continuous stream of content. It's like a big build up, it's a big party, and then it just tapers off into nothing. So, and that leaves everyone that doesn't have the ability or the levels to join into that have to wait a year and a half or so before they can get like a matchmaking version of the system. So
yeah, it seems. I mean, like it's kind of genius in this kind of Skinner box way, right? Like they know exactly what they're doing in terms of pulling the levers. But I don't know. Like, do you think this is? I don't know. I don't. People always lose this shit, right? And go like, oh my god, this is the end of AAA game development. Everything's going to be free to play fucking gotchas, and it's going to be microtransactions and everything, and it's going to bring down the whole industry, and there's never going to be another story game again, and everything's going to be multiplayer. And then Sony comes out with, you know, like 3 or 4 like really great story-driven single-player games, and everyone's like, oh, actually, it's probably okay.
Is Ubisoft becoming EA? in this regard.
Well, I mean, that's what they want, right? That's what they've always wanted. You know, I mean, Ubisoft has been what they've always been sort of. They've been big. They are huge, the biggest ones in Europe. But when it comes to competing against like the Activisions and the EAs, like it's a whole different ballgame in terms of the franchises. Like I mean, EA with all their sports stuff and the microtransactions and the money
that's
they're all
exactly
pulling
what
in
I was
from
going to
this stuff.
say. Like the crossover between genres, like it's funny how it's acceptable to flog microtransactions in like the FIFA and the Maddens and the sporting market, but story based is a completely different kettle of fish.
Yeah, but I think that's partly because they just don't get the attention from the enthusiast press, right? Like in terms of like out of you guys, what's the last time you guys played a FIFA or an NHL or an NBA or any of those games?
The last time
Madden,
this started shutting down.
Yeah, Madden probably
right.
6 to 12 months ago when the 25 and 15 was shutting down.
Yeah, exactly right. So that's the thing where it's like, but like again, you wouldn't pick those up straight away, right? And I'm assuming you guys didn't put any money into the microtransactions, and like you don't see a lot of reviews. Like you might see a review for the Madden come out because it's kind of the signal horn for the games to start being released that year. It's the end of August, sort of. Okay, well now it's time for video games to start coming out. But like outside of that, like I think it's just that we just don't care about it that much, and it just kind of snuck in there because they realized that the general audience don't really care either, and they'll just pay up. I mean, obviously, there's been the stories about I took my mum's credit card and I spent like £10,000 on fucking FIFA packs to get Ronaldo, but there are it's there's always the worry that it's going to affect AAA game development, but I mean I've kind of argued that we're kind of already there, right? Like I don't like AAA games have been rotten with microtransactions for ages in a lot of cases, especially on the Xbox side. And this is just kind of the next logical step because Ubisoft need they need their battle royale, right? They need their Apex Legends, they need their Fortnite, they need their Call of Duty Warzone, they need their big free to play moneymaker to keep them in the game, if you'll pardon the pun.
Well, they said in that article basically about Hyperscape. I actually have a session for that tomorrow morning because my last achievement is revive a players 4 times in the match. But currently there's 9 people in a match, and you'll maybe have one other person on your team. So and if they want, I mean that might be Australian server problems, right? But I mean if they want that to really work, it needs to be like meshed with the rest of the world. So absolutely. But I think that they definitely were pushing that, and that was the big thing that they wanted, right? They wanted a piece of that pie. But like it felt like, and we saw this with the MOBA genre, right? As soon as Dota and League of Legends hit it big, you had things like, I remember EA came out with, was it Dawngate or Dawnguard or Dawngate, I think it was, which just like flopped super hard, and they closed it down. You had like Heroes of New Earth, and then you had everyone trying to make a MOBA, trying to cash grab on and that stuff. But a lot of it was like way too late, and like I think we're seeing the same thing here. Like if you release a battle royale these days, like what are you doing? Like I get it, but you're like 4 or 5 years behind the curve here.
What about the card games like Gwent and?
Exactly. Actually, it was like you had Hearthstone, right? Was the other one, and
Fable
so like
Fortune.
Valve came out with their Artifact, which fucking crashed and burned. Like I get it. You obviously it's hard to come up with great ideas and knowing what's going to hit when you're putting millions of dollars into a project. But you need to be faster on your feet if you're going to think you can't put out a square box with wheels and try and take market share away from the car, right? I mean, unless you're the Cybertruck, maybe. But like, it's
I think
I
think the best example of it is PUBG and Fortnite. Fortnite had Save the World. That's what they worked on.
Yep.
Basically, saw PUBG.
And we're like, actually, that's a really good idea. We could do that. Yeah, and we'll do it for free.
Yeah. And I mean, like, how big have they been now for? Like, 4 or 5 years?
But it's been about 3 or 4 years, and like, I think it was like, PUBG was like game of the year for some people, and like, it's just disappeared. Like, Fortnite totally ate its lunch. It appealed to a younger demographic, and it was free, no barrier to entry on it, and it just exploded. I mean, obviously, I'm sure Epic didn't expect it to explode in the way it did, because they weren't prepared for it at all. But they're obviously, raking in the cash, and now everyone's like, well, and then Apex came out, and everyone was like, I don't know if it's going to do okay. Because apparently EA was in a pretty rough spot before that came out, because they didn't have their big cash cow. Their franchises weren't doing well. Battlefield was tanking. They had the controversies with Battlefront. Titanfall 2 didn't sell well. It was like, oh wow, this is not going well for EA, and like their sports franchises were what they're really keeping them afloat. Then they hit on Apex, and now they've sort of turned it around a little bit. But I think Ubisoft's probably in a similar position. Like they've had a rough couple of years, right? Like, I mean, if you look at their releases, like Division 2 was decent. It was pretty good, but again, it didn't blow any minds. And their support for it afterwards has been kind of shaky. Watch Dogs Legion basically didn't. I think it sold relatively well on next gen, but I think that's partly because there's nothing else to play on next gen, so I can't really,
It didn't keep consumers happy at the very least. Like, it was broken.
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, it was pretty broken when it came out. People were pretty unhappy with it. And then, like, in their other Tom Clancy stuff, like they had, Breakpoint, which was a massive fucking disaster for them. And then they've pushed everything back. I mean, Beyond Good and Evil 2, I don't expect is ever going to come out. Skull and Bones has been delayed again to 2022, which is fucking crazy because they announced it in 2017. Yeah. Like, what else have they got? Like, I'm just trying to think. Like, I mean, like they've been holding the Splinter Cell thing above our heads for ages, but that doesn't seem to be going anywhere.
Far Cry 6 will come out.
Yeah, Far Cry 6 will come out, which I'm sure will be good.
I'm hoping it's like has a way better launch than Watch Dogs Legion.
Well, I think now they've got some time for it, and then it'll be next. I think it's a next gen exclusive now, because I mean it's not coming out towards the end of the year. I don't think so.
I don't know. I haven't really heard anything other than it's probably going to release shortly after E3.
Yeah, I think it was the last talk was like September. I think was the rumor.
Yeah.
But like they're in kind of a rough spot in terms of like keeping their business up. So I guess this move makes perfect sense, right? Like they make a lot of their money on the microtransactions and not so much on the premium products. But I still, as much as I give Ubisoft shit for a lot of their games, like the Assassin's Creed franchise is one of my favorite franchises of all time. Like it's had its ups and downs, but like it's been with me since the beginning of the Xbox 360 generation. And like I enjoy the Tom Clancy series. I mean, like I put a shitload of time into the original GRAW, the second GRAW 2, Future Soldier, and like the Vegas series is also like Vegas 1 and 2 are also just absolutely fantastic. And then
I want to say
Tom
the
Clancy.
same thing, but the first time I saw a Tom Clancy game, it was N-War.
Oh man,
Yeah.
That's okay. That's not the best example to go for, sure.
I mean, like I saw this cover, I'm like, yeah, I love I love this kind of stuff. Like, I'm going to get into this. And then I realized a few years later when I actually focused on achievements, God, no, this was awful. This is nothing. Everything's broken.
Cameron, apparently Steven is telling you to check your Discord messages because he's spamming you with something. But I don't think you can change, so you'll have to get back to him. Because you're using us for our video. But
yeah.
But
he's just trying to use my account. That's all it is.
Oh, okay, whatever then. It's fine.
This is the part of the show where we publicly shame Steven because he's being a tight ass. Alright, yeah, go on.
I mean, alright. But Keo, do you play? I mean, what's your opinion on Ubisoft games? Are you like? I mean, you say you play everything, so I'm assuming you've probably stumbled across a few of their stuff with like Hawks you mentioned and stuff like that.
Yeah. I have actually done Division 1 on 100% achievements and trophies on Xbox and PS4.
Wow.
I have the 100% on Xbox for Division 2. I am working on it on the PS4, so I'm kind of doing that as well. So Division is actually a big one for me, so Heartland's going to be really good. I have done all of the Assassin's Creeds through to 3 on the 360. I'm kind of behind. I've caught up on the multiplayer in 4. I've got all that out of the way, so I just need to actually play the game. So, but yeah, I haven't played any of the Far Cry's. I've done the multiplayer in the Far Cry's, but I've not played the stories. But got all of that sorted out. But so I am across the board. I was a big supporter when I was working firmly in retail gaming that like buying all the new stuff and getting a hold of like the collector's editions and all that kind of stuff, because it was kind of like the trophy for being part of the system. So those things outside of that don't really have like hold a lot to me personally, but outside of that, but it's just like they're there because I was in the system at the time and it was all really good. So I've kind of been on board since the 360 games with most of the Tom Clancy stuff, except for End War. I've got it, but I've never actually touched it. So
just don't do it. Just leave it. Just leave it sealed, mate. It's not worth it. You don't need to do it.
So if anyone in the Discord wants to start that tomorrow, no, I think that's shut down anyway. So
yeah. Ah, yeah. All right. Well, yeah, I'll be interested to see what they do. Right? Like, I mean, they'll figure something out. I mean, Ubisoft they've had a bit of a rough couple of years with games not hitting and their internal controversy problems. And
we can spin this too. Like, Immortals: Phoenix Rising was a lot of people's number one last year. Like, that was a really solid game.
I've heard really good things for it. Like, I'm waiting for a gold complete edition, as they always do, to come out so I can play it all at once. But it's definitely on my list as like, oh, that actually looks quite good. I mean, they did basically steal Breath of the Wild, but like, hey, if something's good, why not just wholesale grab it?
No,
apparently they're doing that. Apparently they're doing that with their games now as well, taking from other.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So, you want to talk about your story you've got here, Cameron?
Yep. So, essentially, I think this was like at the start of the week. An X3 for free dev made a comment about Crunch, and it was taken way out of context. So, essentially, this guy was on a Chinese social media platform, basically talking in Mandarin about his experiences as working in Halo Infinite. Essentially, this was like a 15-minute long video of how it was, and most outlets took it as he was suggesting that 343 had basically overworked their employees. He's since come out and clarified his stance on it. So his comments were just transcribed by a user on Reddit and summarized by us as seen below. He was worried about his reputation in the industry and is with 343 because of how the future employees would see him as a liability or because his sentences were taken out of context. He also suggests that the video earlier shouldn't be taken as a source of news. Basically, a lot of these games news publishers, whatever, jumped on this video, didn't follow up with him for any context on it, and essentially went,
of course not. Why would they do that?
I mean,
why would they
gaming
do any
journalistic?
Of course, yeah.
So yeah, essentially just put this out there without any context, and everybody's reaction was like, "Oh my god! Like, why would he say that about 343?" Like, he loved working on these games. Like, does he want to get thrown aside by the industry, etc., etc. So essentially, like, with his clarification, he came out, he said he had a good experience with 343, as not as bad as the media is trying to portray with current crunch. He worked there for 8 years. He mentioned having baggage because he wanted to work on something new and he couldn't work on new IPs at 343.
Right, because they only do Halo. Yep.
I mean, you're working for 343, you're going to be doing Halo. In some regard.
Yeah, pretty much. You guys are going to be working on Infinite or fixing Master Chief Collection.
Yeah. According to his opinion, he believes that the game was overly ambitious.
Agreed.
Yeah. I mean, like, very overly ambitious. He doesn't want to see people reacting negatively to cut comment because of standard practice in the industry as well, and every project usually has something cut from it. When he suggested that the game was not a masterpiece, it was merely his opinion that games get massively hyped with fans having unrealistic expectations. And this is the thing too. Like, I've seen tweets going around that this game has to be the big one. Yeah. Like,
okay, so yeah, and you're going to say that that's kind of not the people are overdoing it and overrating the pudding.
I'm on two sides. Like, essentially, like, the amount of pressure that is put in a game developer to match something, I guess, as big as Halo CE was originally, like, be the console sell. Like, Halo needs to be a really good game, but, I mean, at the same time, like, I don't want it to be given the Cyberpunk treatment of, like, this game is going to change everything. Like,
sure. Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. I mean, like, you're right. Like, it's like overhyping it to something that degree. Like we all said that Cyberpunk was probably not going to be the big one, right? Like, we didn't think it was going to be as fucked as it was, But like we had a feeling that it was like you know, my guess was like it's going to be like another Deus Ex, and it's going to be pretty good, and we're going to enjoy it, and then we'll move on with our lives, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't. It fucking didn't even hit that. But that's kind of beside the point.
Our marketing changes everything. Hey, Matt.
Yeah, I know, right? Tell me about it. Fuck, imagine if my bosses watch this show. One of these days I'm going to get fucking ass handed to me. But I think that like this one really does need to hit for Microsoft in terms of like yeah, sure, it doesn't need to be the best game ever made, and people who are hyping it up to be that, I think that's what really busted their balls when they saw that demo, and everyone saw Craig, the brute, and just, you know, people were not impressed, right? I thought it looked good. I was like, this looks like a fine game. I mean, like, yeah, you could definitely use some polish.
I appreciate like where their ambitions were going, and I really hope that I don't want to say the original vision, because the original, I mean, the very original vision would have been a lot different. Yeah.
Yeah, but Halo 6, yeah, and then, yeah.
I saw the trailer and I was like, you know, as a Halo fan, like, I'm not the biggest Halo fan in the world. Like, sure, I've done, like, most of MCC and all that. But to me, they're just good co-op gaming experiences. And that's...
Yeah,
that's what I am for gaming. Like, I love the social aspect. I love, let's jump on COD, let's jump on Halo, let's jump into Forza. You know, I like those co-op or competitive experiences, and... at the end of the day, if this game delivers that, I'm happy.
Well, they wanted it to be Star Wars. They wanted the connected universe and the books and the comics and the videos and the everything.
No, that's the coalition.
So they don't have what they had. Well, you know,
I'm joking.
Xbox,
it was rumored.
As a yeah. So they wanted it to be like its own life basically. So and it's really tapered off. I don't think I guess the question is Xbox about Halo anymore? So is that their system seller?
I don't know, right? That's the thing, right? Because it was supposed to be the launch game, right? It was the reason to get the Series X. Was it like, well, yeah, it's coming out for the Xbox One, but who the fuck's going to play it on that when they could play it on the new console? And then it was like, yeah, guess what? It's not coming out for that straight away. It's like we've got another year in development still, because people are really unhappy with it. Which is like, hey, fair enough. Take all the time you want. At the end of the day, rather have a good game than an early game. But you're 100% right with the, you know, trying to create this connected universe with books, and they kind of lost the plot a little bit when you move into like Halo 4 and 5. I mean, 5 was not as bad, but 4 especially, with all the like extra stuff with the Prometheans that they added in and all that stuff, was like a lot of that was like, oh well, hey, if you want to know more about this, read the book. And I'm like, yeah, I get it, but like the Halo games had the original trilogy had like a really interesting self-contained story with a little bit of intrigue and a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and you're like, oh, okay, cool, you know. But at the end of the day, it was a green guy in armor with a gruff voice driving around on a fucking jeep with a gun on the back of it, shooting the shit out of some aliens.
And that's all you need.
You know, and then you had exactly, and then you had a sexy blue lady voiced by Jennifer Hale, and it was like, okay, like, fucking great. It's an FPS on a console. It sold the original Xbox. I mean, shit, I got an original Xbox for it. I mean, I had all the consoles, but that's just because I was, you know, I didn't have any friends. But like, you're right. Like, is Halo? Halo is Microsoft, right? But is Microsoft Halo? Like, that's the question, right? Like, you can't take Halo out of Microsoft. I think. Microsoft. It's been so long since we've had a Halo game. That like,
last
how
one
do you
was
even
Halo 5 was 2015, yeah?
Yes, because that's when I picked up I got the Xbox One bundle for it. Yeah. And like, I enjoyed Halo 5 for what it was, but that's 6 years. That's a long time.
And
I think actually, we'll move. Sorry, you go, Kaya.
Yeah, with Infinite, are they trying to do a similar thing to what Ubisoft is trying to do, where they need something to get people back into the franchise? So, and it's building it up from nothing to make something of it again.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, right. It's supposed to be their big kick in the pants, right? But the question is this the beginning of Halo? Is this the beginning of a new generation? Or is this like the final chapter? Is this where they just close the book and they're like, if this doesn't hit, like, Halo's basically done. We'll revisit it in like 10 to 15 years, when we're a couple generations down, when people are nostalgic for it again, and we'll do a remaster of the first game again, or whatever they end up fucking doing, right?
I purely think it's pretty much going to go from the regard of release Halo Infinite, support it for as long as absolutely possible. It's essentially... I don't know if I want to compare it to Halo MCC, because Halo MCC was broken as... Halo MCC was half a game at launch.
It took 3 years for them to fix it.
But like now playing through Halo MCC, I would dare say if you are to play, one game on Xbox, that's the one you should definitely go to first, because that's gonna be your best bang for buck.
Sure. And it's a lot of content, and it's nostalgic for those who played Halo, and like Halo is still a good game if you go back to it. Like, yeah, some parts of it haven't aged amazingly, but like I went back and played 3 a few months back, and like I had an amazing time going through it again. I mean, I put it on easy and just like ran through it for fun and drove around in a tank and shot scarabs and shit, and like had a great time reminiscing and being like, actually, this game still controls well. The voice acting's good. The story's still compelling. Like, I love it.
And you got ODST and Reach in there now too. Like, you've got everything.
Yeah, exactly. So you're 100% right. But I think that because they said that the multiplayer for this is going to come out separate, right? Like, it's going to be like, it might come out later or earlier. I don't know exactly where that ended up being, but essentially it's going to be like not a battle royale mode, but more like more how they kind of did with their
See, I don't know if that's the case anymore, because it seems like the original vision's changed from it.
That's the thing, is that like we haven't heard much about it, and they keep changing it, and like I get it, for them it can't be easy, right? They need to be acting on the fly and changing the market trends and adapting to what is feasible to get out for this holiday season.
Moving back to the article though, the thing I find interesting at the same time about the whole crunch aspect is most of the, like, I'd say 100% of these teams are working from home. And
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, you're right.
And there's some interesting discussions going around too. Like, how do you mandate that crunch from home? Like, because like crunch to me should be seen, as an absolute negative thing. But there will be some people that view it as, I'm in the gaming industry. This is a passion project for mine. I absolutely love this. I'm at home with the kids. I don't care if I'm working like an extra 2 hours overtime.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Is that like crunch begins with, well, I'm working 10 to 12 hour days to 17 hour days to whatever it ends up being towards the end of development. Whereas, yeah, like being at home, like that becomes a bit of a murkier issue. I mean, like I work from home, and it's super easy to be like at 10 o'clock, be like, well, I can't sleep. My laptop's right here. I might as well bust it up and do some work and just work on a couple of emails or some email or some content stuff or some plans for some stuff that I'm doing over the next weeks, right? But it's like finding that line of like when to switch off is really hard when you work from home. And like crunch throws a whole nother wrench into that, because there's the expectation that you're going to be working extra hours anyway. So it's a hell of a lot harder to be like, oh, well, I'm in the office, I'm working, and like it sucks, but like I'm spending the time at the office, and I know when I leave the office, I've left the office. Yeah. And it's like, well, crunch is just literally just my entire life then, otherwise, if I'm just working from home. Because, because a lot of these, I imagine pretty much all of 343 are working from home at the moment, right? At least probably close until the game launches at this stage, because I don't think everyone's going to be vaccinated in the States anytime before like November.
I guess it depends like where the crunch is coming from. Is it coming from the managers, or is it coming from the employees themselves? Well, yeah. I mean, crunch is always driven by the managers at the end of the day, right? I want to say yes, but you'll have the, it's a grey area. You'll have that particular people that they'll do it because, like, I would agree, but the people that you're talking about are usually the people who are either in charge. Yeah, they're either high ups in charge of critical stuff that absolutely needs to be done, or they're working on small indie games, or they have small teams where they have resourcing issues, Like fucking 343 doesn't have resourcing issues, and if they do, Microsoft needs to sort that shit out, because they're not shy of a buck, right? Like they need to, if crunch is going to happen, it's going to be from the top down.
I think you need to look at the way crunch like works. So there used to be a crunch period, like at the end of the game, trying to make the game go gold. So, but now with things working from home, like, is there still a crunch period specifically, or is it just happening longer hours over time? And and how is that on the well-being of the people? So there's a responsibility for the companies to make sure that the staff are, logging their hours that they're working at home. And outside of that, if there were any issues, then they should be going back to the staff about it, in terms of their general day-to-day work. But I mean, in any of like the contracts or anything like that, it's going to be like, the responsibility comes down to the staff member to look after themselves and take the responsible amount of time. And that's the way it will be for the companies. So it won't be on the companies. If this comes back as an individual person, pushing the well-being, it's a lot harder to actually to get that proven that the staff person was actually doing the right thing and logging the right hours. And so
that's the problem, because like especially the journalism, the game industry, they're always going to go with like developer was bad because ex-employees worked in crunch period.
I mean, 100%. But the thing is, like, I'll always side with the person working as opposed to, I mean, fucking eat the rich down with the bourgeoisie, right? But like, sees the means of production. But like the thing is that like it's an intrinsic problem with the culture of these companies, and this is true of like, and we've heard this 100 times over from EA to Rockstar, especially to like CD Projekt Red was talking about the stuff. Like it's not that your contract tells you need to do crunch periods and you need to work overtime, right? Your contract will say, hey, there'll be a reasonable expectation that you'll at some time do some extra hours when things are needed, right? That's vaguely worded enough to be like, sometimes you need to do a bit extra work, but like whatever. But what that actually means, that's up to a judge to decide most of the time.
Yeah, it's feeding off the passion of the people that are
exactly.
working there.
And the problem with that is that like, well, I don't know how much I want to talk about this in terms of specifics, because obviously, I've worked in other places with this where it's like, okay, like, you finish your job at 5 o'clock and you clock out and you go home, right? But if you're in an office of 20 people and they're all workaholics and they're all working on a game, a passion project, and you get up to go at 5 o'clock and everyone else is still sitting there, that's like that. The managers will never say, hey, get back to your desk, get back to work, right? But they know that the culture that they have fostered around people who are passionate about games will basically drive people to be like, oh, well, I don't want to be the person who sticks out, who's like fucks off at the time that they're supposed to do, and at the time I'm supposed to legally leave. I'm going to be peer pressured, not by it's more insidious.
Yeah,
and that's what I worry about, is that like these companies know that, like it's companies always come out and say, oh, we don't force people to do anything. Of course you don't. You don't put a gun to their head. But you basically make it known. It's like, if you like, and the game industry is a small place, right? If you get a reputation for being someone who only does the bare minimum, like good luck finding another job, right? Like good luck getting a promotion, good luck getting your bonuses, good luck on your performance review. Like it's a problem with work culture in general, especially in the States, and in Japan and in a lot of other places. But like so when the stuff comes out and you're like, oh, well, it's a passion project. Yeah, maybe it's up to them to decide. But like it's a Hobson's choice. You either take the horse closest to the stable door, or you take no fucking horse at all. Like it's like they don't really have a choice. It's the illusion of a choice. And that's what worries me about this stuff. Because I worry that like this guy came out and he said, oh, hey, it wasn't that bad. Like, my stuff was taken out of context, which is fair enough, because people will jump on anything they want for a headline. But you can't just, like he definitely needs to defend himself, because you're right. Like, he'll potentially just get blacklisted for this, because this has become quite a big news story.
And even though, like, his words were completely taken out of context.
Exactly, yeah. Like, he's into damage control immediately, so he's probably backpedaling more than he even meant to. Because he's just like, well, like, actually, like, it wasn't that bad. Please continue to employ me, because I want to work in this industry.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox, but it's
No, I like completely agree, and like that's the problem too. Like, it's just not in the gaming industry. It's relevant across all industries.
Yeah. And we have seen strides towards that. Like, we have seen game developers mostly smaller ones, obviously, but they're ones who can instigate change like this, being like, no, we just don't do crunch. Like, we just keep working on the game and it comes out when it's ready. But like, we keep the 9 to 5 and that sort of stuff. And I'll go off on a little bit of tangent, but I was going back and listening to an old podcast that I used to listen to when I first got into gaming. They're the ones that introduced me to Gamerscore in the first place. So fuck you, NoobTube, because you've gotten me into this shit for the last fucking 100 years. But they were talking about they worked in game development. Now, they couldn't say who they worked for and stuff, and they were careful about it. It turns out that they ended up they're working with Microsoft on the Kinect stuff years later when they told us, when they stopped the show. But they were talking about how there were some developers who were like, like they had these like flexible work hours, and it's like, oh, you come into work at like 10 and like leave at 4. And it's like game development is a job, but it's also an art form. And I think that's the tricky bit, is that like people see the passion and the love and the art for it, but it's also still a business and it still gets run like one. And it really feels like it just gets taken advantage of. And like, there are some developers who are doing a good job of it, but obviously the big ones are the ones where, people are working, 100-hour weeks and just ridiculous stuff. But I don't know. I'm hoping that it gets better, right? And I was hoping that with COVID, things might change a little bit, because people will be working from home, and like you said, like they have more control over their own hours. Like, if you're not in the office, you're not in the office. Like, it's like you can just switch off. But I think it can swing both ways.
I think it will be very interesting moving forward to see how prevalent crunch is too with working from home.
And also, like, how many game developers go back into office and how many keep working from home? I mean, it's a little bit different from a lot of other industries, because like, you get sent out like a next gen dev kit, like you need to keep those in an office, and there's only a certain amount of them, and you can't send them off to people's homes, and there's confidentiality. There's confidentiality stuff, and there's a lot of other concerns that like actually make being in an office for technical reasons make sense, as opposed to some other office jobs. But it will be interesting to see.
It's interesting seeing the like, I'm applying for community manager roles like pretty much in the game industry at the moment. It's interesting seeing the disconnect between AAA studios and your small indies, because most of these small indies are already set up to essentially be working from home. And then
exactly. Like, not so much changed,
And managing in that regard is basically, hey, I'm Matt's manager, I'll check in with him. Hey, you're not dead today, yeah? Yeah, cool. You're not? All right, yeah, cool.
Yeah. That's what
Hands
I was going to say.
like that.
There's entire teams being created to work specifically from home. I think Bloober Team does that already. Like, that's how they were built, pretty much,
It's
as
not
far
uncommon.
as I remember. So
Uncommon.
it's working in some regards. So
and I think those teams will be the ones that we see games coming out from, right? Is because so many that this pivot to work from home has put the kibosh on so many of the big developers, and like changed their pipelines of like how long it takes to get a game made, QA'd, certification. Like, the entire pipeline is just shut down or slowed down because of all these challenges. Whereas teams that are built for it, like teams like Bloober, who are built for that, and other small indie teams who are, happy to have, a dev that works in America, and like my artist works somewhere in Europe, and I have like a beta tester guy and a voice acting guy here in New Zealand or in Australia or wherever, right? And like, that's just how it goes. And like, it doesn't really matter, because I can't afford to be picky, because I'm not a big developer. And that's worked out to their advantage. They can still make games. They can still put them out. The other problem, though, is that, like, obviously these games need to go out to Sony and Microsoft, and those guys are still trying to work their shit together. But yeah, we'll be very interested to see how things go for the next couple of years, because the release schedule for this year is looking pretty light in terms of big games. I mean, obviously, we've still got E3 coming up. We will obviously have a few surprises there, but...
I mean, the stuff that's released for PlayStation has been already... set out for ages.
Yeah, I mean, you had like Returnal, and you've got the new Ratchet and Clank, which look really good, and then obviously you've got what just came out. Resident Evil. Sorry, Resident Evil just came out, and that's pretty much it, right? Like, that's kind of how it's been. And
we're going to have a drought.
Yeah, I mean, we usually have some sort of a drought during summer anyway, but it's been especially quiet, because usually what happens is the stuff that doesn't end up making the November list gets pushed to February and March to make the financial year, but like nothing came out. I mean, I'm sure Games with Dame would disagree considering how busy he was. But
it's funny though, because at the same time, like from like the AAA, like the big hits perspective, there is going to be that level of drought now. But how much of that is covered by services like Game Pass? That takes the hit away,
thing, right? Yeah, and then make it a bit more of a smoother thing where you don't really notice as much.
If this was 10, 15 years ago...
we wouldn't have anything. Yeah, exactly. It would be completely dead.
It'd basically just be playing the same game for the next year and then eventually...
I'm no one to talk. I've been playing games that are over nearly 20 years old this week, so, I mean, fuck. But...
No, the backlog.
Yeah, it never ends. All right. Do we want to move on to what we've been playing?
Yeah, let's go first. Do KEO.
KEO, you go first, mate. What
okay.
Are you up to?
Yeah. Mostly I'm pretty much just doing a very casual job of playing Destiny 2. Not really earning achievements. I've been doing a lot of Cold War, getting through the season pass stuff as that ticked over. So kind of both of the games had their season passes tick over in the last week or two. Destiny was yesterday into season 14, I think. So I've just been kind of just getting on board and doing a bit of that stuff. So I did, however, log on before here because I hadn't really earned any Gamerscore this week, and I did log into Sunset Overdrive, and I got the worst job in the kingdom, the one Gamerscore achievement.
Yeah,
just to put my name forward for that. It did come with it though. A couple of other ones that unlock along with that. Unfortunately,
I was going to say, please don't come on here and get one Gamerscore for the week. Don't do it.
That was my goal,
Kirby.
but I actually looked through my lists of games to see if I had anything else, and I didn't have anything that I hadn't unlocked the one achievement for. So I did go for that one specifically for you guys. But other than that. Yeah, not a whole lot. Like, my time these days is pretty much just log in for half an hour where I can, do a bit of Destiny or Cold War. I've been playing so much of the zombie stuff. I've been really getting into the Call of Duty zombies, Easter eggs and all that kind of stuff with Cameron. So,
do you want to talk at all about our Black Ops 3 boosting and our goal to essentially get all the Call of Duties done? Yeah.
So, I kind of jumped on board with Cameron's idea of doing all of the Call of Duties. So I'm a lot less. I'm definitely behind on, but I haven't even finished some of the Black Ops stuff. But my goal was basically to learn how to solo some of the Easter eggs. So I've been going through a lot of the old Call of Duties and just kind of getting my head around basically doing them by myself, so that Cameron wasn't only being carried by Adrian. But that wasn't my goal.
Look, I didn't. Community, if anybody wants to carry me through any of the Call of Duties, I'm happy to take any help. I will be the best damn zombie trainer in the world. Except for when I'm playing with Alex on Zombie Army 4, because I go down way too easy.
Yeah, so at the moment we're doing Black Ops 3, the 360 version. I've done a lot of the multiplayer stuff in the 1 version already. I normally jump on board and just do all the multiplayer stuff, but I never really did the 360 version of that, so it's good to finally kick that one out. But yeah, so we're into the grindy stuff now, so we're at the end of the little stuff, and it'll take a little while for the rest, so...
We've set up everything pretty good, though. It's essentially just kills now, and then finishing off with the last achievement being Pack-a-Punch Weapon in Round 1?
Yeah, the Shadows of Evil one? Yeah.
Nice one to finish up on.
Yeah, you can technically get that by yourself if you know what you're doing, but it's a lot of work. So,
nice one to finish up
on. Yeah, that's the last one we're going to do. So,
cool.
Yeah.
I'll have to get back to I've got a few other Call of Duties we need to clean up on the 360, but slowly but surely we will get there.
Yep.
All right. Been playing anything else?
That's about it. I try to. No, nothing at all. I try to log in and just do something. Like Final Fantasy 14 on the PS4. I've been trying to log in and do that every week, but I'm done with the platinum for that now as well. So nothing Xbox related outside of that. So.
Fair enough. Yeah, you haven't jumped into Borderlands 3 yet?
No, I've got that ready to install. I have to clear some space on my hard drive for a couple of the packs, but I'm going to be doing that with a couple of the guys, Cobra Todd being one of them. So we just need to get through the 360 Borderlands 2, which would have been nice to do a bit this week. We hit it up once a week or so, trying to get. We're just into the DLC packs now, so yeah, we just did Tiny Tina, so we need to move on from that. So.
Yeah, I need to go back into the 360 version of the pre-sequel. It's just been sitting on my tag forever. I started it like years ago.
We were wondering if we were going to start that next or what, but one of the guys needed to get number 3 before we can do that.
Yeah. All right. I'll just quickly go through what I've been playing. I have not been putting up a lot of score. As I've been saying, I've been kind of in a bit of a hole chasing Game Pass leaving games, so I put a shitload of time into Final Fantasy IX. As I said, it's a great game that was weighed down by its minigames. It's a real shame. So that's all finished up now. Got the speedrun achievement done, and I really enjoyed it overall. And I decided that like now's as good a time as any, and I started up Final Fantasy VII, which I've never played before, which I know horror. But it's been a bit of a gap in my gaming library. I didn't start gaming until my first console was the PlayStation 1, and I didn't get it till like 1999 or something, or maybe even 2000. It was right before the PlayStation 2 came out. So my parents tried to keep me away from gaming for as long as possible. Didn't end up working out, obviously. But so I missed all the Final Fantasies. Like my first one that I played was 10. And so I'm kind of going back and enjoying them. I've done 8 a few months back, and
honestly,
I had a
like
good time with that.
One of the best ones to start with, though.
10, I mean, yeah, like, and so 10 is fantastic. So I played a little bit of 7, and I was comparing it to like the remake, and I was like, I'm about maybe 3 or 4 hours into it, and I just got out of Midgar, so I just got onto the world map, and I was like, oh, okay, that Midgar section is actually not that long. And also, then I was like, oh wait, but is that the entirety of the
That's the entirety of remake. As far as
I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah. Like, how many games are they planning to do?
Yeah, that's what I was like. I was like, it's not even like the end of the. It's not even the end of the first disc.
No, they're just going to start releasing DLC, and it'll just be one big DLC game.
Yeah, I mean, like they did in that Yuffie DLC, right?
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
apparently it'll eventually they're doing like another version that'll hopefully come to the Xbox at some stage, be on Game Pass, I guess. But I'm enjoying that so far. I mean, like going backwards from like 9 to 8 to 7, it's like, oh man, you can definitely see some of the quality of life improvements that they put in the later games. And then obviously the graphics are way better on the later ones. They definitely touched them up. It's still like, I think they're using like the PC version that they released. So it's like, it doesn't look amazing, but it still looks better. But I like it so far. It's interesting. I'm interested to go through it a bit more. The story's kind of interesting. I don't really know a lot about it. I mean, I know like the major plot points and stuff, but people always talk about like, you know, who dies, but that's pretty much it in terms of, and like they're like, oh, Sephiroth walking through the flames is every fucking forum poster's profile picture or signature picture for, you know, during the early 2000s. But
you know what?
I'm actually curious
really
to see
like I'd love to see a Crisis Core remake.
Yeah, Crisis Core would be good actually. Yeah, with Zack. Yeah, that would be really interesting.
There's a lot of trouble with that game, licensing problems. Yeah,
okay,
if no one knows with that, they made like the theme song, I think it was done by a Japanese artist, and I think his likeness someone's likeness actually came from it. I think it was the bad guy in that game. His likeness was, I don't remember what his name is. Well, it actually became the likeness of the music artist, and there's just licensing hell with that, with the music and so they'll rebuild it, I think, into the new game. So
yeah, because I know that 7 has a few things about it that they kind of touch on from Crisis Core that wasn't it originally. So it looks like they might just try and tie it in. Without spoiling anything, because I kind of know roughly what the broad strokes are, because people really enjoyed that game. So a lot of Final Fantasy. I've also been doing a lot of Saints Row 4 on the PC, and the more I play that game, the more I think it might be the perfect video game.
I love that game. So much.
I don't think it's the best video game. It has its problems, right? The side activities are a little repetitive. the story is kind of, it's not bad, but again, like it's and there's feels like there's quite a bit of filler content that I wish it had a bit more variety to it. But in terms of like story is like hilarious. Like I love the humor. I love the weapons. I love the powers. I love the exploring stuff. Like I love the like it's like Crackdown but with everything fixed in it. Like it's such a good game. Like everything about it is just fantastic.
That's the one that begins with Aerosmith, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. Like that's the thing. Yeah, it's like so,
that has got to be like single-handedly like one of the best video game opening. Like,
oh, it's an amazing opening. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't want to miss a thing, and the fucking rocket and all that shit. And then it just it completely takes a complete left turn. Like, it's like, yeah, do you want to be the president that ended cancer or ended world hunger?
It kind of makes me think, like, why don't we really don't get any games like that anymore?
Well, no, that's the thing, right? Like, as I was thinking about this because I'm a huge fan of the Saints Row series. Like, I love 1 and 2. 2 is probably my favorite in terms of tone, because it still had the gangster stuff in it. Like, it was still like a GTA knockoff, but with like even crazier shit. You know, like you had the stuff where you're spraying septic tank fluids onto houses to bring the value down, and then you're dressing up like a cop and like beating people up to like gain like footage, which is really badly charged now, but it was very much ahead of its time. That's
what I'm just trying to say though. Like it's one of those games that's GTA-esque, same way as like Sleeping Dogs is.
Sure, I mean the first one was like literally like a GTA ripoff, right? It was the like GTA 4 hadn't come out. They were like, hey, let's get on this next gen thing and do like a GTA game that's kind of a bit more like San Andreas, but like, you know, like you like pour a 40 on your homies to bring them back to life and shit. Like it was like it had that humor and like to get rid of the cops, you had to go through a drive-through confessional. Like a lot of that old stuff that people have forgotten. Like I went back and played like 2 a while back, and like it hasn't aged amazingly well in terms of like control and like the story. Like the story I like, but like in terms of like, you know, like it looks like shit and it doesn't control super well, and the gunplay is rough, and it's that early, like didn't have that level of polish to it, but it had co-op and it had a lot of interesting side activities. And then three was like, hey, we're gonna like crank it up to 11 and just be like, we're gonna put like tigers and shit in this, and like you're gonna like do some weird like cyber stuff, and so 2 had the gangster stuff, which is kind of down to earth and kind of fucked up but interesting, and 3 was kind of in the middle, and then 4 was like no aliens and shit, like we're just gonna like super go off the deep end. And like I like 3, but I still think 4 is probably like, I like 4 to play, but I like 2 as like the overall package. And I'm really hoping that one day they go back and like remake the first and second game in like the 4 engine, because like they used that engine for Get Out of Hell, which was okay. And then like was it Agents of Mayhem, which fucking tanked like hell. Because
I need to go back to Agents of Mayhem, because it feels like that game that's probably just a lot of people looked over.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't think it did very well. And, like, it was, like, everyone was expecting, like, a new Saints Row, because it was, like, it set the same Row universe. But, like, it really just didn't deliver. And I don't know, like, it's been sitting there. I bought it ages ago, like, for, like, $2 or whatever.
Yeah, same.
On sale, and been sitting in my backlog and just being like, I don't know if I want to put, like, 40 hours into this game. You know, like, I've got other games that I want to work on that I'm more interested in.
It might be the reason we don't see games like that, then.
I guess so, but I mean, like, Saints Row, like, I love. Like, I played it end to end, and I'm really enjoying playing through this. And, like, Get Out of Hell was a little bit of a misstep in terms of the content.
I didn't mind it. I thought it was an average game.
Yeah, it was fine. It was fine.
Yeah.
But I think that, like, for Saints Row 5, like, I mean, fuck, they left the door open enough. They could do damn... I mean,
they could reset. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
I mean, I'll spoil Saints Row 4. At the end, you find a fucking time machine, and the whole game's being narrated by Jane Austen. Like... Fucking, like, they can do whatever they want. Like, they could, you know, like, Saints Through Time is a title that I would pick up off the shelf immediately.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So, like, yeah, great. But yeah, I'm having a fantastic time going back to it. Like, it's like the 3rd time I've played it, too. And, like, it never gets old. It's still hilarious. Having a gun that inflates people so big that they explode. And, yeah, I know that's someone's fetish, but whatever.
Don't king shame.
And all the weird superpowers and shit. But yeah, having a great time with that. Still got a little bit to do. There is a lot to do in that game, and it has all the DLC included, so I'm going to be pretty busy. Also playing Swim Sanity each week. It's with Valak, Nev, and Mike. It's been a trial. The more we play it, the worse the game gets. For those who don't know, is a side-scrolling 4-player twin-stick shooter where you're underwater and you need to go through, like, there's like 5 levels in the game. And you kind of just have to get through to the end of the level and you got to fight like a boss at each stage, and each level is slightly different in terms of mechanics. But it's kind of just like a side-scrolling shooter. It controls pretty rough. We have a lot of glitches, a lot of lag. So bad that we got to the stage where... So we have 2 levels left. You need to go through the game on normal and then to go through the game on insane. And then there's also like survival mode and then there's some online stuff. We've done everything else, but we have 2 levels left on insane. One of them is quite difficult. The other one we haven't got to yet. And we got to a point where we were fighting off piranhas and suddenly everyone else dies and I'm just shooting the enemies by myself. But no one says anything. No one's like, oh shit, I'm dead. So I'm like, oh, well, I guess people aren't paying attention or whatever. So I'm fighting off the piranha horde by myself. And then like a minute later, like, hey, Neo, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you sitting over there shooting that wall? I'm like, what? They're like, yeah, why? You're just sitting there. Like, what are you doing? We fought all the enemies off. I'm like, am I having a fucking fever dream? And it's like, no, it turns out the game has a problem where it just breaks and separates you out from your party and just generates a whole different instance where the other teammates die and you're just fighting on your own. But you're still connected to the lobby. Until, like, you eventually get dropped and it realizes it catches up. It's like, oh shit, well, I can't fake this anymore, so you're going to die.
How long, though, is it taking to catch up?
It never... Like, eventually, like, I had to, like, kill myself and just drop out of the game because I was like, I just gave up trying to... Because it was like, they're like, okay, move to the right and then down and then to the right. And I'm like, fuck this. So... Yeah. That was a nightmare. So, like, it happened to me, and I was like, wow, that was weird. And everyone was like, yeah, whatever, you were just being lazy, whatever. And then it happened to Valak, and we were all like, oh, man, this game is busted as fuck. Yep. So, yeah, I mean, it was worth the price of free, I guess. But it'll be one of my higher ratio games when I complete it again. It's like 4.6, because it's massively inflated. It's not overly difficult, but it is kind of bullshit.
It's not overly difficult, it's just broken.
It's just, like, it's broken. If it was less broken, it would still be difficult. Like, it still have challenge to it. But it's an 8 to 10 hour completion if you get through most, like, the first couple of tries. It's really just the 5 insane levels that really are difficult.
Did you have fun though?
No. Well, I mean, like, I always have fun playing with Valak and Nev and Mike, but that's mainly because well, actually, there's a lot of stuff that's said in those parties that I can't repeat on this podcast. Yeah. But I was like, we are streaming on Twitch, and I can't edit this out, so I probably need to be a little bit careful. But it's fun in spite of itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This party's interesting.
Yeah. Well, we locked the party down for a reason. And then the last thing that I just started Final Fantasy X, so it just came onto Game Pass tonight. So I loaded it up, got through like the opening cutscene. I'm showing Alison it because she's never seen it before. I am super fucking excited for this.
Otherworld is such a fucking good song.
It is good, yeah. Have you played 10.2 before?
I did play 10.2 before, and like, I mean, like it's different.
I think it'll be a lot easier to appreciate the systems in that now. I think. I mean, it's cringy as hell, the whole game. But yeah, I think the systems are a lot more appreciable now. I think going back to it, it's good.
Yes, especially because they changed to the active time battle system, and it's kind of interesting. And like now that I've played some of the older ones, I kind of understand it a bit more. And I'm looking for. I mean, like obviously 10 is the reason I'm there. Like 10.2, I don't care that much about, but I'll play it obviously because it's one achievement list. But yeah, I'm super super excited. And yeah, so I've just got to like the first save point, and I'm just like we saw the cutscene with the Ramstein and the Sen destroying Xanarkand, and it's so good. It looks. I was talking about this before. Like it looks the way I remember the game looking when I played it on the PlayStation 2 18 years ago.
Yeah. It's funny too, like I came up with the thought too today, like I knew that you were going to play it, but based off our conversation with Ray last week, it made me think a little bit more about why this didn't have 2000. And his reasoning before was essentially like, you have to put in a good reason as to why. They basically probably just went, all right, this is the game, keep it at 1K, just get it through as an easy pass.
Yeah, I guess so.
Still a
bummer. I was still a bit of a bummer, but I mean, like, whatever. Like, I don't play it for the score, I play it for the completion, and I would have probably done both versions of it anyway. So, here's what it is. And I'm still going to spend probably 150 hours with this, because it's going to take a while. But I'm nostalging really hard because it was my first Final Fantasy that I properly played, and it really got me into video games in a big way, and sort of it showed me that video games could be more than just fucking, Crash Bandicoot and the, just this typical, first person shooter and that kind of stuff. Like, it was a huge narrative experience that was that, you could put hours into. Like, I had like the guidebook and everything for it, and had all the art, and
I can't say how many times I think when I had a PS2 that and Kingdom Hearts, I pressed the reset button to watch the first cutscene again. So
good. Yeah, exactly. And I had the same experience doing the when Kirby bought me the Kingdom Hearts collection. Like, go back and playing the first 2 games, just being like, this is like incredible, and they're still really great games.
I think that was the thing though. Back in the PS2 era, like, Square Enix was the absolute shit. Like, it was amazing.
Yeah, well, they were fucking onto it. Like, they had it down, and it really kind of went off. It started going off the rails. Like, after 12, things kind of fell apart. Right? It was unfortunate. Like, 13 was kind of lackluster. 13.2 I really enjoy, and 13.3 it's okay. But yeah,
I need to get into 13.
Yeah, you should play like 13.1 is like still actually when I went back and finished it up, like, it is a good game. It just
12's definitely my favorite gameplay wise, just because the gambit system is so easy to mess around with. And
12 and 13 are like polar opposites. Is the thing. It's like 12 is so open from the beginning, like, you could just wander off to the Osmos Plains and get your ass handed to you, right?
Yep.
But like 13 is literally a straight line from beginning to like the last couple of chapters where it opens up a little bit.
I'm gonna attack a T-Rex just because I can. Yeah, just one hit.
Yeah,
that was a smart idea.
Yeah, I might go back to 12 actually. My 12 I have the decision paralysis thing around, like, what am I going to make my party? What are my choices I'm going to make? What jobs I'm going to pick? How am I going to set them up? It just
12 was the reason I bought. 12 was definitely the reason I bought a PlayStation 4. And then basically got rid of it as soon as the Xbox.
Yeah, I have all of them on PS4 as well, actually. So, yeah, and Xbox, now that they're on Xbox, I'll definitely get them again. So it will play them while they're on Game Pass and stuff. So,
Blue Cat in the chat, Blitzball. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, Blitzball's great. Yeah, I'm going to try, and I probably will 100% 12 just because I'm doing all of them. Need to go and do World of Final Fantasy as well. I don't know if I'm going to...
World of Final Fantasy is pretty good, actually.
Yeah, I've heard good things about it. I've actually bought it a long time ago,
You've done 15, yeah?
Yeah, I've done most of 15. There's a little bit left to do. I mean, it's the DLC that I'm stuck on in terms of the hard stuff. But, I've done... Yeah, because some of those achievements are pretty fucking tough.
Yeah, I think the first week I completed that, and after releasing all the content, you have to basically play the game again to get like the specific extra achievements that they added, where they added content. Yeah.
So I replay a lot of it, but that's fine. Like, you could use your souped up characters most of the time, and you can New Game Plus. But it's like the DLCs around like beating Noctis in a fight as Igni, and then doing the snowmobile races as Prompto, and then the point challenges with Gladius. So we'll get there, but it's kind of put on the back burner for now because it takes up a lot of space on the Xbox.
Yeah, I need to do that. I have that installed as well. It's a big chunk.
But yeah, so I'm at 1,125 for this week. But nice. Yeah, it's probably going to go down even more because I'm probably not going to be doing it. I'm going to be focusing a lot on the RPG stuff that I actually want to be playing, that I want to get back to, that I just haven't had time for in the past. Yeah. And also I finished Far Cry 2. I forgot to mention that.
Yes, I did see that earlier.
I got that last achievement. The grind is finally over. Thank you to one Mad Rocketansky for lending me his alt account to help me double up my speed, so I'm not just killing one person, I'm killing two. But fuck me, that took a long time. It took a very long time, and I'm so glad that it's done. My next grind is probably going to be Fear 2, if I can find enough people for it. Which,
I have 2 copies, actually.
Easy. Cool. So, we just need one more person then. And
just knocking out all the big grinds this year.
I just got to get them done, right? Like, it's like, especially the non-backwards compatible stuff. Like, it's just, I just want to get it over with because servers are shutting down, and the 360 generation is looking awfully rough in terms of support being pulled for some of the older games, which I'm very worried about.
Yeah, we're on with BO3, like Black Ops. I'm very concerned that just... Alright, cool. We're the only 4 people on the whole Australian servers.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we've got 99 KD, every match, so it's good.
It's great.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to even out eventually, and you know that.
All right, Cameron, what have you been playing?
So I'll quickly go through because it's basically exactly the same list as last week. Black Ops 3, so we got the game heroics all done. It's essentially just kills now, as we were saying before. Zombie Army 4, I played a little bit last night with Alex. We did half a chapter, but I was feeling a bit tired, so we called it early. Great game. I just think we just need more time in the week just to smash it out. My major 2 for the week, Halo MCC. I am now down to 21, maybe 22 achievements. I've essentially got nearly the multiplayer done except for the assists. We got one of my friends, hers done. She's just got to do life story, and she's completely done the game now. I've essentially got to do all the speed runs. One more mission, which I think is 2 betrayals on Halo CE with the score. And then just a whole bunch of miscellaneous stuff, and I'm pretty much out of there. Which would be very good to finish off and to promptly leave Steven behind to suffer. I'm kidding.
I'm sure he'll be thrilled about that.
I'm kidding. Yeah, I think as soon as I finish Halo CE, I'm just going to smash through on Legendary again with him and have fun with that. And I've got to go back and do Halo 4 on Legendary solo, which I do not get why they put solo achievements in such a good co-op game, but I digress.
Yeah, that was how I felt about Reach as well.
Reach I'm okay with. Halo 4 just does not feel like it's a fun solo experience.
I'm with you.
But most of my week, Kiwami 2. I am essentially down to doing the clan creator stuff, the cabaret stuff, and then the mini games. And I think about like 15 sub-stories. But essentially, every day I've been putting in a good few hours into it. I'm still only at like 24, 25 hours played in game. But I've got all the key lockers done.
Oh, nice.
I've got all the bouncer missions done. I've got all my life skill stats maxed out. I've got a few other ones that I've, like 3 or 4 away from. I've got 2 Coliseum battles left out of the 12. I'm trying to think what else. But like I'm getting fairly close. And as I've been doing this week, I've kind of come to the idea of I think I'm going to do this with every game and leave legend difficulty and the obtainable achievements. And then as soon as I get down to those 2, I'm going to move on. As soon as I've got the complete list done, I'm going to stream them all, watch the cutscenes, enjoy them just for the, just for that, because I'll be fully maxed out and I can just have fun with the story.
Imagine that, having to grind a shitload to be able to enjoy a game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's probably going to be the funnest way for me to do it. And Kiwami 2 is an amazing game. Like, don't get me wrong, I am absolutely loving every minute of it. Cabaret, like, just the club management, like the business kind of sim side of that is so fun. Just maxing out, this party, skill, love, and talking points, so that each girl has different stats in. Essentially just working my way up through that. And the clan creator is basically like a top-down, how many like Halo Wars, kind of like how many grunts can you have protecting a spot. But that basically just puts me at 700 for the week. Hopefully in the next fortnight I can have Halo MCC done. I feel
That'd
myself...
be impressive. That would be a big one. You should put that one on the trophy case.
That's going to be the big one. I think as soon as I get that done too, I want to be focusing on getting ODST done. But it should be pretty good. But yeah, I think with that, let's move on to questions.
All right. Oh, I've just got late breaking news here that apparently I forgot to talk about the fact that I played Fogs or Pogs with one Audrey Lilly. So she's pulled me up on that. Thank you for reminding me. So we played through a couple levels of that. If you don't know, that is a game where you are 2 dog heads connected to each other by a tube, like cat dog, except it's just dog. And you go around trying to solve puzzles, physics puzzles and stuff. It's fucking hilarious and adorable.
It looks good.
It's in Game Pass, and it's a great co-op experience. It's a long dog. Yes, thank you.
That's cat dog game, yeah?
Yeah, basically, cat dog game, basically, yeah. It's dog, yeah. And like you do such fun things as one person clamping onto a water spout, and then you turning yourself into a hose because the water comes out the other end of the other person's mouth. So you can just basically go water plants. And then also, if you eat a chili pepper, the other side gets fire coming out of it. So it's like, so there's a lot of like cute little puzzles like that. It's right. I don't think it's a very long game, but I'm enjoying it. I'm
picturing Human Fall Flat and Cat Dog.
Yes, actually, it reminds me a lot of Human Fall Flat or like Total Reliable Delivery Service, that kind of thing, where it's like it's all you can do is basically grab and like stretch. So you need to you need to work together, obviously, because if one person's going one direction and one person's going the other, it doesn't fucking work. But yeah, I can't believe I forgot about that, but I had a great time with it. Nice. So yeah, I need to play some more of that for sure. Okay, sorry about that. And then let's go into some of the questions.
All right. So
Cameron, you
this week I kind of gave the I gave the community a bit of questions. So Microsoft have taken a look at the achievement system and said that they want to do something for the community. So they're going to make a role for an individual or a team to change or improve the system. So I've essentially asked the community, what are you going to implement, and how would you do it to improve the community? So I had a few different responses. Do we want to take turns, or?
Sure. I mean, if you just want to read through them, we can sort of discuss them.
All right. So Heizo, a job would be to actually enforce the rules that they have in place. Achievement doesn't work. Game doesn't release. Has achievements dependent on third-party servers? Better have an alternative unlock condition. And then just to cause problems, go back and erase the 250G from Dawn of War 2 and a crap ton of GS from Monster Hunter and that weird Japanese fishing game. Just trying to think which one he's referencing. Because back then 750 was the limit, and damn it, we're going to go retroactive.
I mean, he did. I think he did say this. I think I'm not sure if he'd seen the episode, last week's episode, where we talked a bit about the achievement rules stuff, because a lot of that stuff is already in place, right? It's more to do with enforcement and sort of, pushing for it, and like that's kind of on us to keep devs accountable for when these things don't work anymore.
Kind of makes me think like how much testing actually happens with the achievements. Like,
I mean, it seems to be a fair amount, right? I mean, like in terms of achievements that don't work, we don't have issues with them a lot of the time, right? Like obviously we notice the ones that don't work because we complain about them, and unattainables are a big deal for us. But like of all the games that I played, pretty much all the achievements have unlocked when they're supposed to. Like, there are problems sometimes, but like they generally, achievements as a system work relatively well 99% of the time. But having an alternate unlock condition would be really nice for those kinds of things. Like we talked about, having the dual condition apparently is not that difficult to do.
Yeah. A multiplayer to a single player. Like you'd have a multiplayer, like Mass Effect 3 had like a play the campaign twice or play multiplayer X amount of days or whatever.
Adronima had the same thing too, yeah?
Which one?
I think Adronima had this...
Blue like that, so.
It's sitting in my backlog is what it is. But yeah, that's a fair point. I mean, do you guys feel like achievement totals are kind of going out of control a little bit in terms of like how much points they give out? I mean, like in terms of what I'll give my opinion, like I don't really give a shit. I'm just about completing the game. I don't care if it was worth like 1 point or 100 points or 10,000 points. Like I want to get the game done and have that 100%. But what do you guys think?
I think I used to care a little bit more. Like when I was kind of like chasing the points, like not that you really care about points now being number one in New Zealand.
I mean, it's good.
It's
good to be the king, right?
Yeah. I'm essentially
changed at the top. Whatever trope you want to go with, one or the other.
I've essentially changed my mind in the regard though of like I'm having fun trying to go for serious completions at the moment. Like I want to be want to be seen as like, oh, you've done every single COD, that must have been
sure
quite an experience kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, they could have the cap basically have like a platinum, of some sorts. You know,
I think that would be the solution, right? Something
Yeah.
along those lines.
Definitely think there's like plenty of like, as I've said before, the I guess the clip kind of feature for the PS5 of trophies. That would be amazing. Can't speak tonight. Amazing feature to steal.
Yeah,
Like and something that should be able to be implemented with Xbox DVR.
Yeah. Anyone that doesn't know about that, that's basically you take once you get your trophy, any of the trophies, it takes a snapshot of the trophy, and it's that point in time. There's a screenshot of that, and you can turn that on and off as well. So that's very flexible. So I can say for somebody that plays a lot of PlayStation stuff as well, getting the Platinum trophy is basically it. Coming to the DLC, like I'll never go back to like DC Universe Online and get all of the extra stuff they added to that. They never added any of the achievements for the Xbox version, but when that game came out, I got the Platinum pretty quickly in that one. But then they kept adding and building on the content. But yeah, it would be nice to have something at the end there. So.
Yeah, I would agree. It's nice to have like a capstone on what you've worked on, right?
Yeah.
100%. Like there's quite a few good features that could be implemented. I think, like I don't know how I feel about them going for like the 5,000 score. I think it's a bit much. If it was capped out to like something that each of these title updates had like an extra 200G, I'd be okay with that. I don't think I
really think they should have.
Well,
yeah.
With that, they could implement something where basically if a developer's done with the game, then they could add the Platinum or something. So then people actually know that there are no more achievements coming. So we're done with this
That
game.
would be nice. That
So,
would be very nice, yeah.
Yeah.
That would certainly help me, because, again, I've been beaten by that, like, fucking Indivisible, you know? I was like, oh, hey, this is like a story-based, like, RPG. They're not going to add any more content. Guess what, motherfucker? Here's some fucking speed runs and shit that you're never going to be able to finish because they're broken.
2 years later, one achievement. Whatever game.
Fuck. Yeah, it's a nightmare.
I think like ID at Xbox kind of should be like capped at 2K.
I would agree.
Reasonable most of the time.
Would be a good, probably a good idea.
But I'm not gonna, kick up a stink.
I'm not going to be an elitist about it. Yeah. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, exactly. Keo, you also responded to this.
Yeah. Do you want me to read that one out?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, go.
So adding a counter to show how many times a player has met the requirements for an achievement. So the achievement would only unlock the one time, but it would show other players how much you like a game, show the devs more stats, and have more community-based stuff around people actually spending more time with the achievements and stuff like that. So you could play a game over and over and over again and meet the requirements of like the worst achievement, and you'd have just like this little counter next to the achievement or something that says you've met the requirements for this achievement X amount of times. So it'll break the system eventually if you really hit that one of the easy ones. Like starting the game, pressing start at the Simpsons game, you turn that on about a million times and it'll break it. But
it's it's funny with this one too, because community managers actually, like good community managers, actually try and get this implemented early in with like dev teams, essentially so that they can market to particular customer base likes this certain game type. Like, let's do more promotion around that. Good community managers will have those talks early, where not so bad community managers, but ones that try and get stuff implemented right before launch, it's not going to happen. It's going to be 6 months down the pipeline.
And so like some of these features, like some of those stats are available like in some games on the Xbox, right? Like if you go into the stats, you can see like I think it was like some of the games are like how many steps you've walked and stuff, and like how many times you've done this and that. Like they've just kind of picked random stats from the game, but like having a system that's kind of more comprehensive, because like obviously in terms of what Xbox feeds back to developers, they see a lot of that stuff already anyway. To be fair,
they do. Yeah.
So that's not so much of an issue, but being able to like front load some of that stuff to be able to see it on your stuff and what your friends have done, I think is a nice incentive. I don't know if they'd want to do it for every achievement, but it would be interesting for some of the
I think
stuff.
at the minimum too, like have a statistics tab similar to how we have an achievements tab. Like the game data's there, but you don't want to break the immersion by actually leaving the game to go to the game's profile to access that information.
They've tried that to an extent before, but not everyone implemented. The problem is that not everyone gets on board and actually does the system. Then the system doesn't work. So
exactly, and that's the same issue that we had with progress tracking on achievements and that kind of stuff, and also having like the things that really would bring achievements to the next level are in there, but they're just not being used by everyone. And if they're not being used by everyone, then people don't care because it doesn't become the standard. It's a real shame.
Well, time's a good one that got fixed recently.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So that's a good example of it. Yeah, but I'd love to have progress tracking and more achievements, like more specific progress tracking.
Yeah, exactly.
And I know that's extra dev work because it's like, as much as it's helpful to see 25% out of 100 or whatever, like I'd like to know, okay, which of the requirements have I met? Like, give me a list, give me something. Something that connects.
All right, going back to Yakuza, like Kiwami 2 does it beautifully. Like I got to a point where certain restaurants, I'm like, all right, go down the list. What do I need? Certain locker keys essentially went, all right, I don't want to go back and forth of it. I wrote down a list from that menu, but it could tell me the 10 that I was missing.
Exactly. Just make it easy.
The stuff like the Call of Duty Easter eggs are a perfect example. If you have people that are consistently getting the Easter eggs, you can see who's getting the Easter eggs and what groups are getting the Easter eggs. You can cherry pick groups that have the knowledge behind those hard tasks, and you can put them out in any community in terms of knowledge bases. So
that's really interesting. Yeah, it's a really, really good point.
Make it so much easier for the Destiny raid crews that
exactly
charge a fee.
Don't worry, buddy. I've done
X
this raid 10 times. You don't have to carry me at all, buddy. I'm good. Yeah,
I can see the positives and the negatives. That like the last thing you want to do is just like, oh, this person on TA, like this information's fed through to TA. This person's done this particular achievement like 1,500 times over.
Yeah.
Hey, help me with this. I can't get it. You know.
Yeah, exactly,
I mean, we get that every week from TA. Yeah, you get a random message saying, "Hey, you've got this." I think the last one I got was Need for Speed Undercover. So that was recently, and I'm like, I'm done with that game. That game's gone. So
call out.
Yeah, I don't keep any of my games.
No, me either. So.
No, we're not calling out Mike. No, absolutely not. I'm gonna have to edit that out because that's super mean.
No, I'm just saying the amount of times that she asked. So
I know. But
people can
the last
do
thing
it themselves.
It's not that hard.
I'm gonna PSA. Human Fall Flat is a fun game that you can do yourself.
I mean, you can't now because it's got unobtainables. But
I mean,
when they fix them,
when it's fixed. Anyway, moving along. Alex R. Davies, great shout. I'd love to see stats and leaderboards given more prominence in general. Imagine if you could see Gamerscore general leaderboards through your Xbox, how many more people would get hooked? A showcase where you can display your rarest achievements and key stats would be awesome as well, e.g. like number of completed games. I think also putting together a sort of achievements best practice framework based on community consultation, which gives a bank of examples of great achievements and great lists, and what to avoid, to try and up the quality, reduce the grind all around. It feeds back into the point Ray was making last week.
Exactly.
About good community managers, good teams will know all about that regard of how these achievements work, and see them as a feature that can be utilized and not just a feature that if it's broke we can just ignore and move past.
Exactly. And like a lot of the stuff he's talking about here is bringing some TA stuff over to the Xbox system, which I think would be a really good idea. I mean, I don't know how happy TA would be about it, but realistically I think Microsoft should have more of a focus on doing this stuff and bringing it more in-house, because as much as I enjoy seeing the TA score and completion percentages and ratio stuff, I'd much rather have that connected to the entire Xbox community, right? Because we are a small subset of a small subset.
Yeah, for sure.
It's funny though, because in a point of time we did have that with Snap.
Did we?
Well, we definitely had we had TA as part of Snap.
The only thing I had
that was kind of different.
Was my Xbox 360 running through my Xbox One. Snapped to the corner of the screen.
Yeah. I think I had Comedy Central running once on it while I was working on Sunset Overdrive, or no, Rise Son of Rome, I think it was. Yeah, like Snap was interesting, but yeah.
I think this is the perfect time to shoehorn into the fact that OneGuide is dead, and I was probably the only person in our community that actually used OneGuide.
Probably, yeah. I've never even used it, so I'm not surprised.
good for TV. And then I moved and I lost the tuner. And that was it.
Oh, well.
Yep. But yeah, anything else we want to shoehorn in there?
No, I think it's good. I think there's some good ideas, and I like we've talked about this before, but like I really want to see where the achievement community, like what Microsoft does with it, because it kind of feels like they're not putting a lot of focus onto it. I mean, like it was like to the point that we were so surprised that they were doing a Hall of Fame based on Gamerscore, because it was the last that was the first time they'd mentioned it in basically almost the whole generation.
Yeah, they never really did anything with achievements. Like going into Xbox One, they did that day one achievement, but you can't even see that anywhere for any reason.
Exactly.
So, like,
pay for what was it, like $160 now to what was it the last time we had a look?
It was a lot. It was like $80. It was like $80 or something. Yeah. I think I spent 50 on my one because
that's a pay to win achievement these days.
Wait, unfortunately, yeah. Yeah, I spent $50 on my one for someone who didn't care about it because of well, I won't go into my my Xbox origin story because long-time listeners will know that about me not getting my Xbox One from the competition that I was in. But I got my Series X in a competition, so you know, all's well that ends well, I suppose. But
have you got your trophy yet?
They. So I sent an email being like, "Hey, it's been 6 months since I won this competition. I still haven't got my trophy replacement, and I contacted you 2 months ago for this." So they've just sent me the tracking for it. It's coming from the UK, but they obviously won't show tracking until it gets to till NZ. But I'm hoping it'll be here in the next couple of days. So hopefully next week I'll be able to show you it and compare. And what we'll do is we'll do a comparison with my current one, and you can see how bad it looks and how much it annoyed me. It probably doesn't look that bad, but it did fucking annoy me as someone who's a little anal.
I'm just gonna prepare for the worst if this gets damaged in transit.
Fuck me. If this thing gets damaged in transit, holy shit, I will scorch the goddamn earth. I swear to God, I will fucking COVID be damned. I will fly over there.
You know what? If it gets damaged in transit, I'll go out and buy you one of those achievement trophy lights, and I'll send you that instead.
Beautiful, great, sure,
cool.
Whatever. Well, I'll take what I can get. Send me if it's damaged in transit, I'm getting them to send me one of those fucking mini fridges because I'll be pissed. All right,
yeah,
anyway,
I want one of those damn mini fridges.
Yeah, fuck, they look really cool. All right, well, I think that pretty much wraps up the show.
No, we got one more question.
Oh, we have another question?
Yep. So Mad Rock, Nick. Let's go with Nick. Nick's easier. Yeah, cool. Yes. Would you pay to obtain discontinued, unobtainable achievements? If so, what's the maximum you'd be willing to pay? I already know what Neo's answer is going to be.
It's going to be like yes, and I would pay a lot. I would pay. I don't know what the actual number is because you know you don't know what integrity is until what your integrity is until it's questioned, right? But I suspect it would be an embarrassing amount. I mean, like again, if it was like, hey, we'll get you every unobtainable and discontinued on your tag and unlock it for you.
All right,
I'd probably pay a couple. I'd pay probably a couple hundred for that.
Let's go the. I'm going to say logical answer to this.
Sure. Okay.
And say, all right, no way in hell are they going to allow discontinued unobtainable achievements to be paid to be.
No, of course not. Right.
Let's say Neo opens his own game studio and contacts the prior devs and says, all right, listen here. Yeah, I've done 10 years of programming, preparing to get to this situation. I essentially want to take over the achievement side of your game.
Give me Homefront, you motherfuckers.
Yeah,
I'm going to take over the achievement side of your game. I'm going to do the code and all that. Like, yous might not even exist anymore, but I'm going to chase down the right person. I'm going to come and say San Diego this shit, find the right person, get those achievements fixed, and break something else possibly in the process.
I mean, as long as it's something I've already earned, I don't give a shit if I break it. That's your guys' fucking problem. I mean, look, I would like the more realistic example is that you would pay to get the game removed from your tag, which is probably something I would do for a few games. Because then you still have the possibility of going back and getting it if you really want to, or if you're like, oh, I've made a terrible mistake, I need to go back and do fucking Naruto or something. But like, there's a bunch of games with unobtainables that I just like to remove that I just don't have to bother with anymore.
It just depends on how much certain stuff's baked into the ecosystem too, though.
Well, I mean, like it's possible. Like they have the ability to do it. They do it for people. They do it when people hack stuff. Like they remove stuff from like they have the ability to. I mean, essentially, it's just hiding it. But whatever. I mean, like it's the same diff. It comes off your total. It doesn't matter.
Do we really see that anymore though? Like,
oh, I mean, it was more common during the early days of the Xbox One. But like they still have the ability to do it because I mean, all the achievements are hosted server side. Is the thing, right? So they have control over that. Whether it's best practice or not, definitely not. They definitely don't do it. But the technology is there. And I would pay a fair amount. I have about 10 or so games I'd like to get off my tag that I would pay, I'll give you $200 for that.
I reckon the kicker there is that going back to the statistics, if you pay for that achievement, you need to have how much you paid for it next to the achievement.
Yeah, exactly. If you pay for the achievement, 100%. 100%. Yeah, actually, that's a great fucking idea.
That's great. So while Matt's going for the Hall of Fame, he can also go for the Hall of Shame.
Yeah, well, I mean, I exist in the Hall of Shame. All right, that's just my fucking house. All right, but I would probably pay an embarrassing amount of money to have some way of getting those achievements. I'd still like to earn them. Obviously, like I don't want to fucking swipe my credit card and they fucking unlock. That's not what I'm about. But like having stuff where it's like, like the like we talked about it last week, the Forza 2 auction house. Like I can't get that achievement. I cannot complete that game because of that. Just because I came to that game late. And like it was like, oh, Forza. Like I wasn't a big racing guy, but my friend had a free copy. It came with like that, and what was it? Viva Pinata. They had like a double pack, and I played the shit out of Viva Pinata. Played some Forza. Enjoyed it for what it was. All the assists on easy. I'm bad at racing games, but
the one I think about is sharing with a friend in Darksiders 2.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and you know what? I was online in the period when that became active again, and I didn't think I was far enough in the game to do it, and I was. And I was playing the game.
Yeah.
And I if I knew, because I didn't know what the damn tome looked like, did I? So I didn't know that I had to go to this snake tome thing to even see those menus, and when I could have totally done it. So
yeah, exactly. It's the same thing. Where like I have a bunch of Army of Two has an unobtainable for if you didn't make a mask on the EA website and like upload it to your account to use it in the game, like you just can't do it because they've taken down the website.
Rock Band 3's got something similar.
Like this is the kind of thing that we probably want to talk to Ray about. Be like, hey, can they put that website back up or the generator or something just to make it easy? Because like I was like, what the fuck is Army of Two doing these days?
Well, the thing with the Darksiders one as well was that it was the ecosystem changing. It was breaking the connection between the console to talking to the back-end system that allowed you to share. So So like
there are possibilities that fix some of this stuff, right? I mean that the stuff with THQ is probably the hardest because they went completely under.
Yeah.
So like Darksiders and Homefront and any of that shit is a bit of a nightmare. But like I have a lot of unobtainables. Like Homefront is a big one. Like it's a big collection.
I'd like that too. Yeah.
I've got another solution too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, what if every game has one that you like a one-off one button that you can basically go, I've completed as much as I physically can of this game. Say a game has 37 achievements. You've got 35 because the other two are discontinued.
Mm-hmm.
Company's gone under. You got absolutely no chance of getting those last two achievements. Unless you invent a time machine, there's no chance.
Sure.
One button essentially.
I'm working on it.
Yeah, there could be like a trigger though, where basically the unlock requirements it double checks that you've met the requirements or something. You press the button per se, and it basically cycles through all of the requirements to unlock the achievements. There was a thing with Dirt 2 on PC where you had to hit level 50, and I think that's the one that never unlocked. But like it's not like hacking or anything like that, but it's basically was a matter of taking your save game out of the files, and then I think you had to do it with like a DLL file or something as well, and then load the game up so it made a new version of the file so they were legit, and then replace those files with your old files, and then it cycled through everything, and I watched it happen because it leveled me up like 1 through to level 50, and then finally hit that level cap, and then actually popped the achievement. So like there are little things like that. Like I've done some similar things with Games for Windows Live stuff. That's there are ways to get around and fix some stuff, but
Yeah, I think that actually having a trigger refresh would be a nice solution. And making it some sort of requirement around some of this obtainable stuff that like a lot of stuff that we talked about with Ray last week in terms of like enforcing that a bit heavier to make sure that this stuff just can't happen. Or is much more unlikely to happen, because we have seen it a few too many times, I think.
Yeah. Going back to my idea was essentially like if you got 37 achievements and you're at 35 to discontinued, absolutely not going to get them. Essentially just click a button that takes you down from 37 achievements for the game to 35.
The problem with that is that it's next to impossible to define what's unobtainable, because like TA keeps that list, but Microsoft doesn't.
Yeah, but if the choice is in the consumer's hand, like if it's like,
but the thing is like the problem with that is it's a global leaderboard, and it's a system run on the system is housed on Microsoft's end, not on our end, right? Yeah. So it doesn't actually matter what you see. To Microsoft, it only matters what they have on their end, what the value says. But I get what you mean, but it's like essentially just like you could essentially do that with a Vivid and just scribble over the number.
That's what you do, isn't it?
Yeah, well, basically,
like you
put a post-it note on it. Post-it note over it. Yeah, absolutely. I'm like, I never played the game. Wolfenstein 2, never heard of it.
It's one of those ones that just like,
might as well be unobtainable. All right.
Mate,
well, I think that's...
this is why, like, people in those positions, you need those people that know about the achievement community, because you don't want to be losing sales in a game like Wolfenstein 2 that is absolutely amazing, not worrying about that achievement.
Yeah, well, hey,
I digress.
I mean, like, they were smart enough not to put it in New Order, but... No, yeah, well. Anyway, I mean, I'm sure they don't really give a shit. Well, no, actually, no, I know they don't give a shit, because people complained to them for ages about it when it came out. I remember reading the forum thread about it. It was incredible. The salt was palpable. Anyway, that pretty much wraps up the show. If you want to get in contact with us, you can follow us on Twitch right here, twitch.tv/RealGamerscore podcast. We're trying to get our followers to 50. We're pretty close. I think we're sort of sitting around 35, 36, somewhere around there.
Thank you for the 7 people that subscribed tonight. Really appreciate it.
Yes, really appreciate it. We're trying to hit that affiliate status once we get to 50. So every bit helps. So again, word of mouth is a big thing for us with our podcast. Tell your friends. Talk about we try to push these episodes as much as possible, but it really is up to our fans and our community to tell other people about it and get them invested and interested. Because we can only horse so much.
You're the voice trying to understand it.
Fuck, I really need to do that for Song of the Week, don't I? If you want to get in touch with us, fuck, that's a good joke. I'm going to use that for Clip of the Week. If you want to get in contact with us, you can email us at hello@RealGamerscore, or you can hit us up on Twitter, that Cameron Mans, @RealGamerscore. And as previously mentioned, we've got a... Yes?
I was going to say, saying that, currently running competition at the moment as well, that if you retweet the post or the tweet that I've got there, essentially just replying back to us and saying what you enjoyed about last week's episode, you can win a free copy of Resident Evil Village or Mass Effect Legendary Edition.
Yeah, so I'm going to enter that because I want to win one of those. Those games would be great. I like the part where I was on the episode. Discord.io/RealGamerscore is the place to chat with us and our community and ask questions. We have a questions channel, which we also read some of these from, that Mad Rokitansky was in. And also Cameron's putting in a couple of question starters in there for our community. And also, we've got all other kinds of channels for everything you could ever ask for. We've also got our Patreon, patreon.com/RealGamerscore. If you want to give us some cold, hard cash, we really appreciate all of our Patrons, especially our new ones. Thanks, Cobra Todd. We appreciate the money. We'll use it probably for evil, but maybe some good as well. If you write in some questions to us, we'll try and answer them next week. And if you want interested in being on the show, like Keo is here, get in touch with Cameron. We'll do a little bit of audio testing, try and work you into the schedule. So we're recording this on Thursday rather than our Friday, just because of scheduling. But so we're relatively flexible. We usually do Thursday, Friday, or Saturday if we can. But Friday is usually the main day. So, and we are on Australia, New Zealand time, so just a little bit. So it probably be a little early or a little late, but we'll work it out. If you want to be on the show, we love having our community and our guests. So just get in touch. And if you want to help the podcast out in other ways, subscribe to us on your platform of choice. Leave us a review. Tell us your friends. Retweet our stuff. Subscribe to us on our other platforms. You guys know how this works. Rate, review, subscribe,
Yell in the
bell.
boosting sessions.
Yes, absolutely. Tell people in the boosting sessions. We say it every week. Just wedge it into the conversation, like it's your what can I say on Twitch without being banned?
Casually just play Black Ops 3 360 to 3 of our friends that regularly get told, "Hey, I'm on a podcast." Hey, do you know I'm on a podcast?
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
And even if Cameron's finished that game, he will come back and he will help you get to your final kills.
Yeah, no, he definitely will, as long as you listen to the podcast.
Okay, yeah. For those people, I will.
Now, exactly. Now, if you want to find me, you can find me on Neomaster on pretty much everything. True Achievements, Xbox, Discord. I guess that's pretty much it. Twitch, I guess. I have Neomaster 2005. I mean, I don't really stream anything. I just moderate this thing. But
my favorite thing is, like, I've basically forced you to become a Twitch streamer.
Pretty much. But that's fine. I mean, like, I've got the face for it, obviously. But yeah, fuck it. If you know where to find me, you know where to find me. Neomaster on everything. I'm on the top of the leaderboards. I mean, come on, just look up, mate. You'll find me. Cameron, where can we find you?
You can find me twitch.tv/RealGamerscore. Wait, is it Real Gamerscore or Real Gamerscore? I need to settle that down.
It's Real Gamerscore Podcast.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Because you fucking renamed it, you nonce.
You can find me on Twitter under the @RealGamerscore or under my name, Cameron Harlan 1. You can catch me on the Discord under Shadowless Edge. I'm in quite a few of the Xbox related ones, and yeah, TA or Xbox under Shadowless Edge as well. Feel free to drop me a message, have a chat, tell me why you like my Hall of Fame hoodie community.
I should have got an XL one so I could fit into it. And Keo, thank you so much for joining us this week.
Yeah, no problem.
It's been a pleasure to have you on. You got anything you want to shout out, or any of your socials, or whatever the fuck?
So pretty much you can just find me on Twitter mostly, but I am KEOLIVEatHOME everywhere. That's including Twitter, Xbox, PlayStation, the Discord as well. So yeah, pretty easy to find, especially if you're following the podcast. I follow them, you can follow me from them. So yeah.
Fantastic. Well, I think that wraps up episode 135. We'll see you guys next week. Catch you later.
Peace.